Guys, it's that time again. So I know some people was going by reports, but which is true. I I know like Jonathan Kuminga is like a promising player and all that, but he's a restricted free agent. So what are they gonna do? Like sign him, then like trade him for They were thinking Giannis should get him. They should get Giannis for Kuminga. Kind of crazy, but this is just one of those fans that got the trade idea for Giannis. So this video is so you might as well just say it's like a WFSO reaction. Um, but let me begin to scream a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about it. You already know who we're gonna be talking about, so let's
Exam and
get this
X-ray
out
at
the
the
way.
dentist.
And
That's now free for new.
So the Warriors have been knocked out after Jonathan Kuminga led them in scoring with Stephen Curry out, and Steve Kerr really wasn't even trying to give Kuminga any minutes until they were desperate. Kuminga barely.
yeah, that is true. I do give him that. It's like Steve Kerr hasn't played Jonathan Kuminga like most of the season. But Barrett is right. It seems like they were like, actually desperate, like to use somebody, and they use him. And it's once again, it's like one of those guys, you know, he's good at what he does. But they just not using him. You know, and plus, the Warriors seem they want to go with this small ball lineup to like get there. But the problem is that small ball lineup ain't gonna always work. Then again, you got the Draymond Green over there trying to hurt everybody. And Stephen Curry, of course, he's getting older, and Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy what? It was funny that the Miami Heat fans was like, well, you saw how Jimmy Butler played, and he's nothing more than a player that just like show up when the culture is right, but when it comes to the Warriors and the culture is right, he failed. But then again, it's like he is getting older. My thing is like you can, if you're still like can play and you're like that good, just play until the wheels fall off. So like I understand, they talk about Kaminga for maybe going to the Bucks and stuff like that, but I say no. That's just my opinion, but let's just listen in.
Barely played in the first round series, so it seems pretty clear now. Reports have come out. They're going to be moving on from him this offseason, and they're going to be looking to do a sign and trade. And I've seen Bucks fans on Twitter, a lot of them wanting to get Kuminga. Maybe not a lot, but I've seen some people saying that they want Kuminga. And I'm going to just make a video about the possibilities of this, since I do think that there's a chance, because as we're seeing right here, in the past year, the Warriors have expressed interest in something that the Bucks have. And Bobby Portis, who himself is also going to be a potential free agent this offseason if he doesn't take his player option. And so that allows a potential sign and trade to go down here. And so I'm going to give my take on how this could happen, particularly because I don't think it would just be Bobby Portis, and whether the Bucks should do this. And so for Jonathan Kuminga as a player, my thoughts on him is basically he's like the best version of a Kyle Kuzma. I think there's 6 Kyle Kuzmas that I could come up with today in the NBA. Guys that...
What does Kyle Kuzma got to do with this? Oh my God! It's like get your name out of his mouth. Like, calm down. Like, the video you doing is not anything got to do with Kyle Kuzma, but you want to mention him. Oh, God. It just don't make no sense, but sorry about the background. I'm watching TNA Impact. So, he can never stop talking about Kuzma. So, Kuzma. Maybe you say like Kuzma like 3 times, then you end up like show up in front of his house or something like that, and he gonna give you that look like, oh, you hate me, huh?
that are talented, can put up numbers. You know,
Before married
this always
Amy
happens.
was struggling financially as a single parent. She worked as a truck operator and
Kyle Kuzma averaged 20 not that long ago, but just don't really think the game that well, don't really feel the game that well, to where they're not really winning players. And I think Kuminga's still young to where he could potentially become more of a winning player, but I have him number 2 on my list of Kyle Kuzmas. I think the best version of a Kyle Kuzma in today's NBA is RJ Barrett. But, there's RJ Barrett, there's Jonathan Kuminga, Kelly Oubre. There's these guys that are very talented, can put up numbers, but I don't really think are like championship type pieces because of the way they think the game and the lack of their feel for the game.
Barrett, that's your opinion. You just don't know. So, you just jump into collusions, and I know for like everybody, when it comes to like every NBA team, the main goal is to get a championship. But you can't always expect, teams getting like championships like every year. Like the same team getting like championships every year, stuff like that. It's not even made like that anymore. Like I said, the last back-to-back was Golden State Warriors. After that, it was just like a random team, and I do like that format. I know it's not a format, but I'm just saying I like that going on. That not the same team wins every year. So although I know some fans may be like, okay, I want some of my I may want my team to win back to back or win multi championships. It gets boring after a while. So, like I said, that Golden State era when they won it like back to back with Kevin Durant, everybody, was upset. And I was one of them too. Like, Kevin Durant did if you can't beat them, join them. But, just sad, they made, like, with Kevin Durant, they made 3 NBA Finals appearances and only won 2. Anyways.
But I think Kuminga could make some sense for the Bucks because I think he makes more sense with Doc Rivers' system, which I'll get into, but also because we know that Dame may be back by the end of the season, but off a torn Achilles, and the fact that there's Kyle Kuzma still under contract for 2 more years, and just
oh God, the day that Kyle Kuzma proves him wrong, I cannot wait. It's just like I said, like just work on this game in the off season, and and we'll see from there. But then again, there's like some of the fans just like, oh, we want to base everything like on like half a season and stuff like that. Like give this guy like a full season in the NBA and just go from there. And plus, what he has to deal with when he was with the Wizards. End up, being the number 1 guy there. And I think he was rather, take a little bit of a backseat and be like maybe the 3rd option of the team. And it all works out. But Barry, he always look at the negatives and not the positives. So like I said, Kyle Kuzma did have some great games, some double-doubles, and like 2 blocks on 1 game and stuff like that. But I know, the playoffs, like he didn't play well, then you see that Doc Rivers did, adjust. I know some people was upset, Doc Rivers adjust the lineup. It was kind of too late, but I wouldn't say like too late, but like he tried something in game 3, adding Gary Trent Jr. to the lineup, which was fine. But you got a lot of things going on. Like some of your players, they always stick to one move, and they stick into like the Coach Bud move that shooting around Giannis, which is fine. But it's like you gotta try to be a little bit different. And plus, Giannis does gotta really like trust in his team. Like have like a get together with your teams and stuff in the summer. But the crazy thing is he's always taking off, going to Greece and all that stuff, and like making appearances for like his well, he's getting money for other stuff like what can I say endorsements and stuff like that. Calm some of that down, work with the team, and stop worrying about going here and here. I know you got a like family to take care of. That's fine, but at least you say you want to work on your game. You really got to show that. Like the players around you ain't gotta just prove themselves to you, but you gotta prove yourself to them. It's like a double-edged sword.
Just where the Warriors are at right now organizationally, this isn't a year outside of just probably having Giannis that there will be any expectations that the Bucks are going to win a championship. This might be like a gap year, I've seen some people call it. And so with that being the case, I actually do think it makes sense to go get a talented guy. And playing with Giannis, he's going to win some games. And with his talent, if he gets minutes, and like I'll get to with Doc Rivers' system, I think he'll put up numbers. So I do think it makes sense for the Bucks to pursue him, because knowing that the Bucks don't have hardly any assets in terms of young players that have a lot of value on their team, and then
Young players gotta adjust. You can't just expect the young players be great just like that. And that's the problem. There's going to be players that's going to take some time. Then there's going to be young players that's going to, emerge right away. So it's like half and half. Like, it happens, but it's half and half. So you don't know what this player going to come up with. Like, we can assume, like, players we want in a draft or something like that. But it ain't always got to be built from the draft. You can get, like, some, like, young upcoming players that's, like, in free agency. And if you got the right, players around it, a all-star, you can go with that. But we know, Damian Lillard probably gonna miss like, most of next season. But you can at least get somebody by a point guard in free agency that you can like use right now that can like if you don't want to start Kevin Porter Jr., which I think they should, and some people have issues with it. Either him or have Ryan Rollins be the backup point guard, and also have either you want Ryan Rollins to start and have Kevin Porter Jr. as the backup point guard. Yeah, that'll help. But although it was too little, too late, but hopefully Doc had learned his lesson that don't try to wait till certain games to adjust. You gotta adjust, the next game or try to do something different. And please, practice with the team every single day. Moving on.
And then also with picks coming up, the Bucks have the worst situation in terms of draft picks for the foreseeable future in the entire.
Woosa. 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 I'm probably going to end up, saying that, woosa, woosa, when it comes to this guy, this kid, might say. Okay, maybe, point out their situation, okay. There's things that can be surprising that can happen, and that's the thing, anybody didn't expect, the Bucks win, the 2021 NBA championship, but they did. That was surprising. So maybe, maybe there would be another surprise in the horizon in the offseason. Like, if you saw my last video, I was talking about, Hanson Wayne. Maybe that'd be the guy they get for, a guy that's 7 foot that can, can run, got good footwork and stuff like that, and probably could be a decent defensive player. So, like I said, hopefully either they do that or they'll get a guard, maybe like a point guard in the draft. If they're going to keep Gary Trent Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr., if he decides to opt out, I would say this. Do not resign Brook Lopez, and do I think they need to trade Bobby Portis Jr.? No. But I wouldn't be shocked if they did. But then again, although Pat Connaughton is not going to be like the ideal trade piece for anything, but only thing you can do is try to like do something with that if they don't want him anymore. Like I told y'all in the like other video, like I'm 50-50 with Pat Connaughton, and like see how it goes. And I'm not gonna give him a Kyle Kuzma just yet. So if he's like horrible like after this season, or the first certain amount of games in the season, then I can understand trade him away. But at the same time, who's gonna trade? Who's gonna take him? His contract is gonna be a little bit of a favor for the Bucks too, because like I think it was like I think he had like around like 23 million this past season. Then this coming season it'd be 22 million. Then it goes down, and I'm not sure if he has a player option after that, but he got 2 years left with the Bucks and player option. So probably give him that year and decide if it doesn't work out, trade him at the next offseason or the trade deadline coming in February. It's just some people do not have a great mind like mine. I know I normally don't brag, but it's just some people like him just makes some of us look like geniuses. Just put it that way.
NBA. So with all that being the case, being able to get a young, talented guy, even though he's very flawed, or at least he is somewhat flawed, I think it makes sense. And so I think that this would look like, there was another report that came out today with the Warriors wanting to get bigger at every position. I think this could look like Bobby and Brook going to Golden State and a sign and trade for Jonathan Kuminga.
Oh God. So he expect if they do something like this, Jonathan Kuminga and Brook Lopez, which is highly unlikely that Bucks is going to resign him and do a sign and trade. But maybe they decide what they want him and they get a trade work, but not Bobby. If you want to sign and trade, do a sign and trade with him and Brook if you want to do that. Or to make Barrett happy, sign and trade for him for Kuzma or something like that. That can finally shut Barrett up. Point is, I don't like crazy things can happen, but I don't like that trade idea. I don't. It's like yeah, you're trading 2 players for 1. You may have like extra space to get somebody like in free agency, but I don't know. At least you got to keep like a few players from that championship core that you had. Giannis, Bobby, and maybe Pat, but yeah, Brook, he gotta go. And I think there was only 4 left from that championship team, and at least you gotta keep like some veterans. Oh yeah, we already know Taurean Prince ain't gonna be re-signed or anything like that after that awful playoff performance. So yeah, he's gonna be good as gone. If they re-sign him, they might gonna try to resign him for cheap, which I don't see that happening. He's gonna want more money.
I think that for the Warriors, they don't really mind being old because they're just saying, this is our last hurrah. We're overpaying Jimmy Butler. We're paying Steph Curry. We are paying Draymond. We're already old. We'll get all old players and say, we got like a 2-year window. Let's see what we can do, and we'll get big.
They already oh no, they said that was the Boston Celtics. They talked about that in the second apron. But yeah, like I said, they stuck with Jimmy Butler because he signed an extension for the next 2 years. So yeah, to be honest, they stuck. Golden State Warriors are stuck. Like, but I like, the Bucks' idea, what some of these seems like these other teams are doing, they're getting younger, getting faster and stuff like that. So, then again, we only had like a slow center that, get passed up by any guard or small center that's just passing by. Like, I'm not against like getting people that's, like 7 foot or anything like that, but today's NBA has evolved. You got centers that can run, jump, defend, and also can shoot the three. It just Brook is 37. I'm sorry, but his days are gone, and maybe he should like just realize, go to retirement, take care of your kid, your newborn, and just ride off the sunset while you can. Because if you stay with the Bucks, it's just going to get worse, and fans going to be like more pissed. Probably be so pissed off, they might, boycott some games. I know that's just me thinking in my mind, but strange things happen.
Bigger with Bobby and Brook. I can't put actual trade machine hypotheticals up here because Kuminga's going to be a free agent, so we don't know what his salary is going to be. But I would assume that it would.
Restricted free agent, you fool. Jonathan Kuminga is a restricted free agent. If you pay attention on TNT, which half of the time I don't even watch because, sometimes, they got some of the analysts that are like, some of them are groups, but point is, Jonathan Kuminga is a restricted free agent. But then again, I don't know if like the Warriors got the option to, just release him, or if somebody comes out with a better offer to give him, they might just let him go. So they just like, okay, we're not gonna resign him, so we're not gonna outmatch the contract.
That it would look like Kuminga getting paid like $25 million, and us throwing them Bobby on like maybe $15 million, and Brook on maybe like $10 million, something like that. Maybe Kuminga $30 million and 15 and 15 for those guys, something like that. And I think that there's potential to get it done. So I think if you were able to do that for the Bucks, I think that would be a great trade. I think it would be phenomenal. If it involved the Bucks giving up their last draft pick, first-round draft pick in 2031, nope, don't do it. Don't do it. I'd rather have a first-round pick in the future that we could use for a trade in the upcoming years, or later on we'll be able to use it, than Jonathan Kuminga, who's just very flawed.
The only option they will have to use in a trade, so don't get rid of your 2031 first-round pick. Just get rid of the second-round pick if you want to do that. That's what I would probably go for, in my opinion.
I don't want to give up a young asset for him, but if we could just get younger and get Kuminga, absolutely. Because as much as though, Bobby's solid as a bench piece, he's a guy that'll be trash one game and then great the other, and it balances out to be, overall pretty solid.
Don't see me right. Don't see me right. For the man you've been defending since, the championship, Chris Middleton, ever since, his injuries, he has an on and off switch because he's getting older. Y'all know what I'm getting at.
Solid.
9 tablets of 100 milligram generic Viagra for $7 from Friday Plans. I thought it was a scam, but I was wrong.
I think that I would rather just get a steady, decent player for not very much at all. And I think with big men in today's NBA, and I think I've felt this for years and years now, unless you have a top 7 center or top 7 big man, I don't think it makes sense to. I think you'd be better off just paying random minimum dudes and spending money elsewhere and allocating assets elsewhere. I think you see that somewhat with the Pacers. Miles Turner is a really good big man. Maybe he's not top 7, but I think they should continue to pay him. But I think that they were able to get Thomas Bryant during the season off waivers. They got him for nothing. And I think that there's just always big men like that available. And I think for the Bucks, they'd be better off getting an asset like a Jonathan Kuminga, a younger player, and just re-signing Jericho Sims and go get your version of a Thomas Bryant out there somewhere, or just start to play Tyler Smith minutes, and I think that's fine. And then Jonathan Kuminga, I think that would be a good move, and probably he's not even there long term. But with somebody needing to score points, with Damian Lillard being out next year and him being so young, you could just go get him, and first year, have him be like the second option to Giannis, let him get 20 points a game, and then next offseason, you can then move him, and then...
Jonathan Kuminga is a power forward. There probably been points when he was with the Warriors that he might have played center, but if he's like coming off the bench and you have Giannis like play sometimes at center, but I know Giannis don't want to be the starting center. Maybe so, but if you're trying to put him in a starting lineup with Giannis don't like to play center at times. So it's like one of those things I just don't get. And some people's way of thinking. So y'all can see I'm like starting to get a headache and stuff like that for this nonsense. But there's YouTubers that they just really need to be put on blast. They really do. Because I know it's like the current generation versus the young generation. Oh crap, that was the main event? Oh, that sucked. But
that following year, Dame having an off season off a torn Achilles, and then you able to trade him for like a third guy, and then you rebuild it. So I think that this is a chess piece that could allow the Bucks to rebuild for the future, if they play their cards right, and if they don't give up too many young assets to get him. Like, I'm not throwing in Tyler Smith, I'm not throwing in a first round pick. No. But if the Warriors would like Bobby and or Brook, sayonara, that would be phenomenal for me, and I would give John Horst a round of applause, even though Kuminga...
Yeah, for you. Not what everybody and what the front office thinks. Please learn some business.
Is not necessarily my cup of tea, if you will. And the last thing I will say about Kuminga's fit with the Bucks, with the Warriors, their offense is just solely predicated on read and react, quick decisions. Steph Curry drives inside. He kicks it out to Draymond. Oh, I'm on the wing. I have to go set a screen for Curry because he's popping out to the three-point line. And I'd watch the Warriors. The Warriors are the team I watch the most besides the Bucks. And so many times, Curry would be popping out to the corner, and Kuminga would just I forgot to set the screen, and now Curry's not open. Or Kuminga would have the ball, Curry's running off a screen, and right as he's about to come off the screen wide open, Kuminga just starts going tunnel vision, trying to go to work himself. I saw the same thing when Kelly Oubre was on the Warriors, just a guy that had no type of thinking the game and quick instincts like that. James Wiseman was kind of another version of that. Those guys that just aren't quick thinkers of the game of basketball.
Like you.
They don't really work well with the Warriors. But the good news is, he actually fits well with Doc Rivers' system, which is basically no system, right? My criticism of Doc Rivers is AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr. is the best shooting backcourt off the bench in the league by far, the best shooting combination that any team has off the bench. And they come in, and we don't really run any plays for them. The only threes they get is just off of Giannis' gravity. And so that can be really bad when you have players that have specific skill sets and you want to get them the ball where they're good at. But for a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, where it's a Doc Rivers offense of just dribble handoff and then somebody creates something, Kuminga can actually do something in that situation where it's just spread the floor, open it up, swing the ball around, and then somebody go to work. He can do well in that. In an offense that doesn't ask anybody to do a lot of complicated things, doesn't ask you to be able to think a lot, all it really asks you to do is to be able to create off of dribble handoffs and off of pick and rolls and even off of kickouts from Giannis. And I think he can do that. I think he can attack closeouts. I think he can just create on his own on one-on-one off of dribble handoffs. And so I think that he would be a better player for the Bucks than he was for the Warriors, even though I don't really want to rely on him as a top guy on a championship team. He is still very young, so I don't want to completely close the door on that possibility. And even though I don't believe it's likely, I think that it's still just a good asset to maybe have for a year, build up his value, and then maybe you use him the next offseason in a trade, and then that's how you get better for the future. Whereas right now, the Bucks don't have a lot of assets to trade to help the Bucks get better. So I'm in.
They have a lot of young players that they can build. Same excuse. Oh, we don't have that many accents. If the biggest concern for everybody, Bucks fans, is like they don't have that many draft access, and if that's all y'all worry about, personally, I'm not worried about it because sometimes when I said there's a player that they should get, it's not gonna happen, and everybody's gonna be upset. So except for AJ Johnson, which they traded with Chris Middleton, and Tyler Smith, which is not getting playing time. So mainly, as long as you got that Rabbit as your coach, ain't no players going to end up being developed. Like with Tyrese Maxey when he was coaching the 76ers, yeah, he developed to a great player, but he's not trying with everybody else. That's just mainly what I'm saying.
I'm in on a Kuminga trade as long as it doesn't involve the Bucks giving away young assets to get him. Now, other teams might value Kuminga and have more money to be able to spend on him and bet.
Oops, sorry.
Their young assets to be able to use in a sign and trade. So I don't want to get in too much of a bidding war and overpay for a guy that's very flawed. But if we could get him on the low for just veterans, sign me the heck up. But let me know what you think. Drop a comment.
I'm done. I'm just done. Like and subscribe. If you like today's video, please give it a like. Thank Robin and Mike Thompson and Midwest Wrestling Collectibles for sponsorship. So check out Midwest Wrestling Collectibles on Facebook. They might have stuff you need. Also check out the website WrestlingFanspeakout.com. As y'all see, I'm getting a bit more frustrated, so I'm just going to end it here. So y'all have a good one, and thanks for watching. Until the next video.